But first up tonight, look, COVID-19 has divided Australia, and guess what? It's the bush that's come off second best. You've heard me say it for the last 6 months. Decision makers in capital cities with no practical knowledge of the way the country works are penalising the regions. There's rules for city folk and a different set of guidelines for those in the bush. And regional Australia and the bush is copying in the neck for the bumbling incompetence and downright selfishness of those living in capital cities. Why does it take less than 24 hours to get the result of a COVID test in Brisbane, but it takes 10 days in Colac? Why are pubs, clubs and restaurants in Roma and Longreach being fined $6,600 for not complying with COVID regulations, yet they haven't seen a case within 600 kilometres? Why do people in Albury-Wodonga have to frustratingly wait 14 days to see GPs and specialists because they're required to comply with state-based coronavirus protocols that show no discretion or flexibility to border communities? Now, I know there's been work done on this and it's certainly improved in recent weeks. But is it any wonder people in the regions and the bush are sick and tired of this crazy roller coaster ride called COVID-19? Just as they started to see light at the end of the tunnel and an opportunity to get their businesses up and running again, the second wave hits Melbourne. It's thrown everything into disarray. Now New South Wales and Queensland are on war footing, and all the while they have to put up with these morons leaving Melbourne to go on day trips. And of course we're now seeing some of the concessions, some of the lockdowns being eased. But many people in those capital cities still thumb their noses at COVID restrictions because they see it as an attack on their sovereignty and human rights. We saw those idiotic Logan teens a few months ago jeopardise an entire city of Brisbane by going on an alleged handbag stealing spree in Melbourne. Now, make no mistake, when the post-COVID narrative is written, it will be established without question that the bush and the regions cop the raw prawn. Regional tourism, that's the one I'm most concerned about, and of course the mental health implications. It's on its knees and continues to be on its knees because of these stupid border closures and lockdowns. Confusion and uncertainty. They've been the outcome of city-centric decision-making by politicians who haven't even had the courage to travel into the bush to get a gauge on how they are coping. We've seen drought, we've seen floods, we've seen bushfires, we've seen trade wars. Throw in a soul-sapping virus pandemic to put the icing on the cake, and there you've got the lot of the Aussie bush. The one bright light out of all of this doom and gloom for the regions is that COVID-19 has changed the game forever on work and leisure for city slickers. In many industries, there is no necessity now to work in the heart of a major city. So working from home will become the new norm for a significant percentage of employees. Now, that becomes even more attractive for those that can escape the city rat race and head to the regions, and we're seeing that. Less stress, cheaper housing, cleaner air, and a safer, more community feel. A 5-minute drive to work, no traffic lights. It's a pretty compelling argument. In fact, a new body which has been set up specifically to deliver on this projected population shift from the cities to the bush is the Regional Australia Institute. We had its CEO on last night, Liz Ritchie. It comprises some of Australia's biggest corporate hitters, including major banks, employer groups, Australia Post, the Commonwealth Bank, NAB, Horizon, KPMG, the list goes on. Now, in the latest job figures, we saw postings to regional Australia hit 11,000. Now, that's up 22% from May. And as part of the push into the regions, the Regional Australia Council has been established to support the development, investment and prosperity of our regions in a collaborative way to enhance the lives of Australians who choose to live in the regions. This focus on jobs, population, livability and people and leadership is a fantastic opportunity for Australia's regions to prosper as part of the post-COVID-19 renaissance. The challenge will be getting city-based politicians to stand up and take notice. If their efforts during the pandemic are any guide, they've got a lot to learn, a lot to learn.